2nd, 2024. We will be having a kitchen table talk today, but it'll be at 12:30. So I hope everyone can make it. I have a hockey game today, so it's busy. It's a busy time of year. What can you do? Alberta's pension request. Remember a while ago, I told you that Alberta's done the math and they want half of CPP pension because they think they've overpaid, and that's a problem, right? And they want to fix that problem, and so on and so forth. And Ottawa has responded quite a while. I mean, it's taken them a long time to respond, but they have responded and they said no. So I've got that for you. Sell Canada Post? Probably. I mean, it makes sense. Although, how do you sell an $8 billion bill? Would you like to buy an $8 billion bill? It comes with subsidies, don't worry. And unions. Ooh, it's a hard sell. If I'm offered the opportunity to buy a company that has a union, I'm looking twice. I don't know. I'm kicking those tires. Edmonton Police Commission Chair resigned from Portugal. Remember the guy who I said was moving to Portugal, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll stay on. My term ends at the end of 2026, but it's fine. I'll just do it from Portugal. I think I'm not breaking any laws. Yeah, well, apparently he's resigned. So that's good. See you later, buddy. Trump is going to take back the Panama Canal. So I've got that for you. And Jagmeet is doing what he did last time. And last time, Jagmeet Singh promised to bring down Justin Trudeau, and he didn't. Right? He said, oh yeah, we're definitely going to, hold Justin Trudeau to account when we come back. And then they didn't do any of that and instead continued to support Trudeau. And I think that's going to happen in January as well. The circumstances have changed, don't you know? And we're going to support the Liberals just to make sure Pierre Poilievre doesn't take leadership and, ruin all of our hard work or whatever. It's a bad justification, but that's the justification that they're using. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we have to start talking about the cabinet, the whole leadership crisis that Chrystia Freeland threw the Liberal Party into, the governance crisis, the confidence crisis in our government now, and how that's going to be resolved, because we're a couple of days from Christmas, if that hadn't been obvious, and nobody wants to work, but there are real serious problems on the near horizon that need to be dealt with. And I don't think anybody really wants Justin Trudeau to deal with it. And so we have things in motion, balls in the air, if you will. Pierre Poilievre wrote a letter to the Governor General asking for her to force the Prime Minister to call an election, and if he refuses, for her to dissolve the Parliament and call an election herself. And so we're waiting for a response from that. I don't know that there's going to be. I think there should be a fast response, but it doesn't seem like anybody's urgently responding to this, because I think the letter was sent Friday, and already Saturday's happened and nothing has happened, no movement. And so there's things happening, but it seems they're not going to let that get in the way of their grip on power, right? And so Andrew says they're having caucus meetings. Justin Trudeau didn't fly to Hawaii right after the Liberal Party on whatever night it was, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and he was at the cabinet meeting the other day and gave out new cabinet positions to a whole bunch of new loyal Liberals, right? And here is Andrew, and Andrew has pronouns in his profile, so take what he says with a grain of salt. But he does say this: at a virtual meeting of the Liberal Party's Ontario caucus on Saturday morning, 50 plus Liberal MPs reached consensus that Justin Trudeau must resign, CBC News is reporting. 51 of 75 Ontario caucus MPs attended the Zoom meeting. Reports suggest that only a single Liberal MP spoke in favor of Mr. Trudeau staying on as Prime Minister. The doors are closing in on Mr. Trudeau. He must give the federal Liberal Party a fighting chance to take on Pierre Poilievre's dangerous agenda by resigning now and triggering an expedited leadership race. So doing it that way gives the Liberals and Jagmeet Singh and this government time, because I feel like if the Liberals are in a leadership race, the Governor General is going to be sympathetic. Jagmeet Singh is going to be sympathetic. Oh, well, it can't be so bad. And then as that's happening, interim leaders going to try and pass Bill C-63. I hope I'm wrong, but that's desperate. They want Bill C-63. They need Bill 63. In order for them to move forward with their plan, they need censorship. And without the censorship, they can't get their plan in place. Why? Look at what happened with COVID. COVID had people like me saying, don't do this nonsense. It's nonsense. Here's how you don't do this nonsense. And they wanted to crack down on me, but they couldn't because they didn't have the laws in place. So they started putting the laws in place. In England, it's in place, and they're arresting people for posting on social media. In Canada, that's not quite there yet, but they want it passed, and that's Bill C-63, and they want it passed. And it's not quite, we can arrest you, but they can completely destroy your life. And that's what they want to be able to do. And they're going to try and do it. And I mean, we're going to talk about that as well. Jason Levine's sharing some stuff about that. So if they go the leadership race route, they will buy their government time. And I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope Poilievre is able to trigger the government falling an election soon. Fingers crossed. Christie says Justin Trudeau is now projected to lose his seat to the NDP by just a hair's margin, right? So Liberals are polling at 30.2%. The NDP are polling at 30.5% in Papineau. So that's interesting there. Here is multiple Liberal MPs writing letters to Trudeau telling him that he needs to resign. Chandra Arya says the same thing. Hello, Prime Minister. Thank you for your leadership. And then he goes on to talk about how Chrystia Freeland... Should I read the whole thing? I guess I'll read the whole thing. Why not? He says, thank you for your leadership. Thank you. Thanks to you, our Liberal Party experienced a revival in 2015. And under your guidance, we have achieved significant accomplishments. You have delivered on the trust Canadians placed in you. Not true. While I align as a fiscally center-right Liberal... What? And have often disagreed with you more left-leaning positions, I have consistently supported you since last summer, even when some of our colleagues called for your resignation. However, it became apparent that you no longer have the confidence of the House of Commons. Now I'm reasonably certain that a majority of the Liberal caucus no longer supports your leadership. I'm just trying to read the letter as accurately as possible, so I'm not fixing it. Chrystia Freeland's resignation marked a pivotal shift. While I was disappointed by the timing of her announcement, I must acknowledge her exceptional political acumen. Whether by design or circumstance, she has emerged as a credible and stable alternative to your leadership. Right? Here they want a leadership crisis, and they want Freeland in there now. She's the puppet turned leader, right? Despite your low approval ratings, my support for you stemmed from the lack of a viable and reassuring alternative. Chrystia has now filled that void. To the Liberal caucus and Canadians at large, she represents stability and competence. What? Ready to lead immediately. Nope. Kim Campbell-esque? Her successful track record positions her ideally to address the looming challenges posed by the new U.S. administration. Chrystia's approach, polite yet firm. She froze innocent people's bank accounts without charge or conviction. Fair but firm? Give me a friggin' break. She belongs in prison. Or polite yet firm. Polite while she's freezing your bank account. Has demonstrated her capacity to stand up to even the most intimidating personalities, embodying the strength of an iron fist in a velvet glove. With all opposition parties united to vote on motion of non-confidence, I believe it's time for you to step aside as leader of the Liberal caucus immediately. Chrystia's years of dedication to building and maintaining caucus relationships, something unparalleled even by your closest advisors, gives her a unique ability to unite the party. I'm confident that caucus will rally behind her. Under Chrystia's leadership, we can preserve your legacy and protect it from being dismantled by the current official opposition. So don't let that Pierre Poilievre come in and dismantle your legacy. Step down now while you still can, sir. Here's another one. Rob O says, please see my statement about Liberal Party leadership. And he's a Liberal as well. And Lion Advocacy says, Liberal MPs now calling on Trudeau to resign. Trudeau could very well lose a non-confidence vote from his own base, even without Singh. Wouldn't that be something? His days pilfering this country are numbered, but he and his cronies must be held to account once they're gone. We're really, really bad at that in Canada. We do not hold politicians to account. Do you know why we don't hold politicians to account? Because if you come in and you arrest the outgoing guys, now you've set a precedent that the incoming next guys could come in and arrest you. That's why. It's self-preservation. You don't want to be arrested on your way out, so you don't arrest the guys on the way out. And I mean, I don't think that was always the case, although if Jean Chrétien has some very concerning Chinese ties, and so I don't know how far back it goes. Mulrooney, I don't know how far back it goes. So we'll see. I'm not going to read that letter because we're on a tight schedule today, everyone. It's almost Christmas after all. Mark says, Alitha Raj is outraged. The Liberal Party is collapsing. And her outrage is, like the Prime Minister didn't even address Canadians. He shuffled his cabinet. He's, walking around giving these interviews, but he didn't address Canadians, explain anything, talk about anything, nothing. So that's pretty poor from a Prime Minister who seems to hate Canada. Here we go.
Thing that happened today or didn't happen today, which is kind of outrageous, and I feel like I need to point it out, is the Prime Minister did not talk to Canadians. His Deputy Prime Minister straight up quit on Monday, said he was like financially inept. The Liberal Party was too focused on itself. We had more and more Liberal MPs come out from the shadows and say they think he needs to leave. He shuffles his cabinet and he doesn't address the country. Like, this is not appropriate. This from the leader who told Canadians 9 years ago that sunshine was the best form of disinfectant and he was going to change the relationship that the Parliamentary Press Gallery had with Liberal cabinet ministers. This is not accountability. This is not,
Yes.
Government is in crisis. Pierre Poilievre has a right to point it out, and he's not addressing it.
Yeah. So, and in fact, they did change the relationship between the government and the Parliamentary Press Office. Now the government subsidizes the Parliamentary Press Office, and anybody who's not subsidized by the government and so prints what they're told is maligned and targeted by new censorship laws. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad in Canada these days. Anita Anand was shuffled from her old position as chair of finance. I can't remember her exact position, but she was moved from kind of being a really wonky policy position to now more an active position that aligns with her husband's work. Yeah. Anita Anand says, I'm honored to be sworn in as the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade. My focus is on strengthening Team Canada with the provinces and territories right here at home by boosting supply chains and building a strong and resilient domestic economy. And Andy Lee says, so Canadian Public Pensions Plan, OMERS, owns Life Labs through a subsidiary which is run by Anita Anand's husband and is receiving hundreds of millions to test at our borders, and no one is asking any questions? Like to test what for... this was 2020 test for COVID, right? And so that's pretty wild stuff. Good thing her husband has such influence on testing at the borders and, life labs, medical, all that kind of stuff at the borders, right? Super interesting how tight that is. Super tight, right? I bet they don't talk about it over dinner. Here's Brett, and he says, why do we let people swear in on anything other than the Holy Bible? Sorry, Anita Anand, but we're in Canada, not India. I don't think people understand. People don't understand. Even if we had people swearing in on the Bible, I don't know that would, other than the historic context of you should take this seriously type deal. I think your regular, average, everyday person, your regular, average, everyday person can't tell you, who the last 5 presidents or last 5 prime ministers were, or economic policy or anything like this. So understanding the intricacies of our holy books, et cetera, is probably beyond the crowd, right? But isn't that weird? Shouldn't everybody kind of be read in on our whole culture and the reason we are using this book to swear on and so on and so forth? But not in Canada, right? Anyway, Brett says, sorry, Anita Anand, but we're in Canada, not India. So Anita Anand swearing in on the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm sure that's, super important. But it's weird because I don't think that, again, a lot of, if you've got rank and file people, just your average 100 people at a shopping mall, right? Or your average 338 MPs, how many of them would be able to articulate the reason why the importance of the Bible, the Holy Book, and so on and so forth to your everyday person? And why is it important for you to swear on it? Why is it important for you to take that oath seriously, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Other than tradition. I don't know that most of the MPs would be able to articulate why. And so our traditions get watered down to the point of being completely useless, both because the people doing them are just play acting and the traditions have been forgotten. The traditions themselves are acted out, but the reasons why have been forgotten. And that's a weird place to be, right? Here's Kevin Vung. He says one of the ministers who needed to be shuffled out but wasn't was Minister for the UNRWA, Ahmed Hassan, who keeps funding the UNRWA despite other places not funding the UNRWA, who continues to fail his duty to safeguard Canadian taxpayer dollars from funding terrorism. Today, Sweden joined the United States, Switzerland, and the Netherlands to defund the UNRWA. When will Canada? And so... we like to fund terrorists and we like to waste taxpayer money on things that harm Canada overall, I guess. So that's our curse at this point in time with these Liberal leaders. Graham says, naturally, the new cabinet will not include a single Alberta representative. Meanwhile, Quebec now has 11 ministers, including the Prime Minister. And so isn't that interesting, right? No new cabinet ministers from Alberta. So Shucks darn. Here is Table Salt, and they say Jagmeet Singh might lose his seat in 25 and is desperate to secure his pension. His riding in Burnaby South was dissolved, and according to 338 Canada, he is losing in both ridings that replace it. See comments for proof that he has held this country hostage. So yeah, he's losing in both ridings. So this is Vancouver, Fraserview, South Burnaby, and the Conservative is winning on both of those. And yeah, so Burnaby Central looks to be NDP, but it's a toss-up. So CPC leaning and toss-up for the other one. So maybe he'll do Burnaby Central and maybe lose a seat. So we'll see. We'll see. Here is Pierre Poilievre. He says, now that Parliament is closed and there's no chance to introduce any motion for months until after you get your pension, Jagmeet Singh did the same stunt in September, claiming you'd no longer prop Trudeau up, and then you went back on your word and voted 8 times. Remember, he made the big whole show about ripping up the confidence and supply agreement, and then you voted 8 times against an election for you and your boss, Trudeau. Just 11 days ago, you voted against a non-confidence motion filled with your own words. Had you voted the other way, we'd be almost halfway through the election now. Only common sense Conservatives can and will replace this costly NDP clown show. Axe the tax election now. Corruption election now. Interesting use of the word clown show. This has been used broadly. Clowns are often CIA agents, right? This is like a clown show, meaning it's orchestrated. I think this is what it means. Maybe I'm wrong. But people have been talking about clown shows since the early 2016 era, when Trump was in there, was when Trump first got in, and they started having remember the tiki torches, all this stuff, Patriot Front, all this nonsense looks like a clown show. Looks like these people dressed up like clowns, CIA operatives, et cetera, et cetera. And the same thing happens when we hear narratives that sound like CIA narratives, clown show. And so it's the use of that term. Is he referencing that, or is he just saying something else? I don't know. Probably not referencing that, but that's the first thing that jumps to my head. Is he aligning himself with people using that kind of language, or is that just an accident? The common sense man, let's talk about the GST holiday. It's not so much as a GST holiday as a giveaway to Loblaws. So Jagmeet Singh was the QB of this big giveaway to Galen Weston, and he's the one saying that Pierre Poilievre quarterbacks these big giveaways to Galen Weston. The common sense man says, last night I went to a superstore in Winnipeg. I had bought some diapers and wipes 2 weeks ago, and the price on these products was $27.99, which is normal price range recently, sometimes on sale for $23, $24 on the 46 pack of diapers and $22 on the wipes. This was on sale versus $25.99. The price on the pack of the wipes was $29 and the diapers was $31.99. So Loblaws went and marked up the price around 20% to make up for the GST discount. Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, you guys are completely full of crap that you thought this GST break was going to benefit anyone. So he didn't even save the $5 that he was supposed to save on these tax-free items, right? They just marked them up and said, oh yeah, well, there's no taxes on there. The people can pay this price, and they continue to shop. So the market can bear it. They put the price up there. Crazy town, right? Jagmeet Singh says bootlicker for billionaires. Is he talking about himself? Galen Weston's boots and that GST giveaway? Right? Like, jeepers creepers. Why don't you tell Canadians what you were up to a week ago, Pierre? Actually, I'll do it, says Jagmeet Singh. Weird. It's a presumption. I thought this was a parody account, actually. He says, a closed-door fundraiser in a $17 million mansion in one of Toronto's swankiest areas. Tell us, Pierre, which CEOs did you meet? What did you promise to cut in exchange for their checks? Healthcare, dental care? Pierre Poilievre is cozying, The Breach is reporting, Pierre Poilievre is cozying up to Canada's far-right bricolargs. Just like their Silicon Valley counterparts, some Canadian tech billionaires are trying to push Canada to the right. Justin Trudeau's destroyed the country. Destroyed the country. Our closest trading partners saying, if you don't stop sending drugs and illegals over our border, we're going to destroy your economy with a 25% tariff. Stop. Get your head out of your ass, Canada. And these guys are like, oh no. Pierre Poilievre, who's the leader of the opposition and polling to be the next prime minister, is trying to take Canada further right? No, the people are fed up with this failed government, I think, is what's going on. True North is reporting Edmonton. Oh, this is funny. Yay, right? Like, this is good news, everyone. True North is reporting Edmonton Police Commission Chair. So he's not the commissioner, he's the commission chair. John McDougall has resigned following widespread criticism of his plan to serve the remainder of his term while living abroad. So he resigned from Portugal. He zoomed in and he resigned. So sucker, right? Like, you can't do stuff like that. And I mean, you can't, if you have a job and say you like work from home or something like that, and say you want to move to a different province, you can usually do that if you work with your employer, right? But if you want to move to Portugal, there's going to be barriers. And like, usually people don't make assumptions like that. Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to move country. I'm just going to live in Germany. What's the problem, you guys? Everything's fine. Like, look, it says telecommute. Okay. You don't want me to live in Germany? So it's so weird that he would think that this is okay. So I'm glad that sanity seems to have slapped him in the face a little bit. Yay. So interesting stuff happening there. And I'm glad we don't have people from Portugal being the police commission chair. Yay. CBC News is reporting the solution to Canada Post's financial woes and murky future, according to one observer, is just 2 words: sell it. Yeah, make it stand on its own 2 feet. I mean, like, you could just, could you make an arm's length, like make it arm's length and say, listen, you sink or swim, and we're going to stop subsidizing you. Good luck. I don't know. I don't know about selling it. Maybe sell it. I mean, I would want to invest. I don't know that selling it is the best way to serve Canadians. So I'd want to investigate the best way to serve Canadians and then move in that direction with regards to like postal service and mail. In my opinion, if Amazon and UPS and Purolator are money-making companies, then Canada Post should be a money-making company. It shouldn't be a way for the government to hire people to do busy work to improve their job numbers, right? You see what I'm saying? So it should be a situation where Canada Post is efficient, lean, mean, cheap, great at what they do, which is deliver mail. And like, why not better than anybody else in the world? Why not be like the pinnacle of mail delivery? Like, what's wrong? What's wrong with us? What's wrong with Canada, whose main focus is how much money can I get for the least amount of work? Like, why not have some pride in our work? Why not have some pride in their institutions and like do it right, for crying out loud? We're the most profitable, fastest, most reliable postal service in the world. Why not? Why not us? Right? Because we sit around and prioritize unions and victimhood mentality and nonsense like that. That's why not us. Redacted has an interview with Maxim. I haven't watched this yet. I'm going to watch this. I'm interested in it. It's 31 minutes. It was published on December 21st, and it's not yet, but it should be on things I'm watching because I watch things like that when I'm doing the dishes, and it's just a good, quick, easy place to get those links. Okay, I just added the link. It's there now. If you're interested, you can check it out. It's also in the description, but just in case you're not subscribed, then you can go to CanadaReport.co. Let's talk about, that was our grab bag of governance. So I don't have anything to say about the interview because I haven't watched it yet. So I'm glad that he's doing interviews. Great. Here's Western Standard. This is the news story I teased off the top of the show. Western Standard's reporting Alberta is not entitled to the $334 billion of CCP assets, says Ottawa. And so here's just a little bit of this. The UCP's Alberta pension plan proposal has again fallen under scrutiny from Ottawa. A new report from Canada's chief actuary disagrees with Alberta's claim that it is entitled to more than half, $334 billion of CPP assets. The actuary's position aligns with the views of the University of Calgary's economics professor and UCP skeptic Trevor Tombe, who estimated Alberta's share to be between 20 and 25% of the CPP fund. The report was commissioned last November by a former federal finance minister Chrystia Freeland, under the authority of Prime Minister Trudeau. The Trudeau Liberals have been described by pundits as openly antagonistic towards the Alberta Premier Danielle Smith and the UCP. So this whole thing is, the fight is continuing, but Alberta's basically, or the federal government's basically said no, and Alberta is now putting together their package to counter that appeal and so on and so forth. So it's ongoing. We'll see. But so far, the answer is not going to happen, which I'm not surprised by. Here is CBC Sea Watcher, and Dan McTeague is talking about EVs and batteries and climate change. And Dan McTeague says, Dan McTeague offers Stephen Ledrew's viewers a reality check on EVs in Canada. We backed the wrong horse. We put all our eggs in one basket. We put $52 billion of federal provincial monies committed towards building battery assembly plants, EV assembly plants, for which there will no longer be a market, at least in the foreseeable future. Nobody's interested in buying these cars. Nobody wants these cars. This guy got into a fight with me about the reliability of EVs. And I basically, my position is gas cars always beat EVs because they fully charge within 5 minutes. You can fill up the liquid gas tank and it's fully charged in 5 minutes. That's 500 kilometers or whatever of range, which is an 8-hour charge on a Tesla. And if you get stuck on a snowy freeway and you have a car, you can fill it up on that snowy freeway and keep yourself warm for an indefinite amount of time, as long as you can have fuel, as long as you can find fuel. And if you can walk to a gas station and walk back to the car, you can get fuel and fill up your car again indefinitely. And it's not always ideal, but you're not all going to freeze to death in a Tesla. In a Tesla, once your battery is dead, and in the cold, the battery dies faster if you're using heating, which you would need to do. Once your battery is dead, you're not refueling that thing. It's done. You're done. That's that, buddy. Unless you've got a generator on the back of your Tesla, and I've seen people carrying generators around on the back of their Teslas. Unless you've got a generator, you're done, man. So, and you might freeze to death. And so everybody's got to walk to the gas station and then walk back, right? Like, again, not ideal, right? So it's I think the gas car wins, hands down. There's not even a contest. And we're being sold a worse product, in fact, and we don't want it. And now they're mandating that the product is being sold, and people are blind to it because they think that, it's the pinnacle. It's going to save the planet. It's going to help, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to help. There's nothing about it that's going to help climate change. Nothing. The mining for lithium is a nightmare compared to coal and the rest, and oil and gas, right? Like pipelines, things like that. Ain't got nothing on lithium. Lithium is awful, right? Look up lithium pools. They look terrible. Wide Awake Media is showing Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is talking about the proposed economic reality of 15-minute cities and the NWO climate net zero agreements. And these agreements are being made by municipalities. They're trying to get us into this mess even more than we already are. So here's Jordan Peterson just talking about these C40 cities, M40 cities. Basically, it's 15-minute cities. Here we go.
Literally pursuing an agenda that includes no more than 3 articles of clothing per citizen per year, a 95% in private car ownership, which is why we're all being encouraged to produce the electric cars that we won't have enough electricity to run anyways, because you don't need electricity if you actually don't get to own a car. And if the goal is a 95% reduction in private automobile ownership, then it doesn't matter if there's no damn grid. 1 short haul flight per person every 3 years, which will completely, obviously decimate the entire travel industry, plus all of the tourism industry that Europe depends on absolutely in all possible manners. And then overall, although this isn't directly from the C40, the fundamental goal of something approximating an 85% reduction in Western living standards, which is the calculation of the green virtuous globalist utopians as to what's necessary in order for us to inhabit a green planet. And so all of this means, to me, it means not only are the bureaucrats who are using this get out of jail free card to advance their careers, and the conspiratorialists who are radically left using it explicitly as an agenda, it also means that the bloody radical leftists are 100% willing to sacrifice the working class and the poor to their ambition and their green agenda.
Well, they'll sacrifice everything. People, to virtue signal about how much they believe in the narrative, some people will cut off their children's healthy sexual organs. How crazy is that, right? So you think climate change is radical, buddy? That's not even halfway there. Like, people will go so much further than you think, right? For the greater good, right? For my daughter, right? To be a daughter instead of a son. I'll do anything, right? It's madness. It's madness. Climate change, trans nuts, like same stuff. Same. Here is money being spent, and this is what they're spending in England on the green agenda. And this guy can't believe it. Here we go.
I looked at this database, and when I started looking at the data, my jaw just hit the floor. Now, bear in mind, I've been writing about this stuff for 2 years now, so I've seen some pretty scary and unbelievable stuff. But even I was shocked when I saw the scale of the subsidies that are energy and net zero related, and then added them all up. And I got to 328 billion. It would be a mistake to sort of like compare that to annual budgets of the government. But if we were to sort of like put it in sort of like local parlance, it's like 3 HS2s and getting on for a full COVID response, which is pretty significant. And it's probably going to deliver even less value than HS2. In fact, I would argue that it's destroying value.
Yeah, he's not wrong. Oops, I was looking up what HS2s are. Sorry, I thought it was paused. HS2s are high-speed rail, and so HS2s are expensive, but this green utopia more expensive. So pretty wild stuff. We have to talk about censorship, and Jason Levine is reporting this. I have solid evidence, solid information that the RCMP are actively monitoring the Levine show to collect evidence against both my guests and myself. This isn't speculation, it's happening, and it's not just my show. Sean Newman podcast has been targeted too. This is a blatant attack on the freedom of expression and freedom of the press. Canada is sliding fast into a police state. It's not good. I messaged Jason and I said, hey man, like what's the evidence that you've got? And he sent me some convincing evidence, and I was like, wow, that's pretty convincing. And he asked me to keep it to myself, but I can confirm that I saw it, and it's concerning. And so if they can get their censorship passed, they're going to use it to crack down on people like Jason, people like me, and other people who just want to bring you the truth, I think, or at least the facts, and let you decide on what the truth is, right? Again, I don't claim to be the harbinger of truth or the person who only knows the truth or anything like that. I'm just interested in the facts of what happened, and I present that to you as best I can using like raw video, direct video, video and language posted directly by the people on different platforms. And I let you make up your mind. I tell you what I think because I think that's part of the fun of the show. But like, honestly, I hope that you come to your own conclusions. And sometimes people disagree with me, and that's even more fun when people message me and we have good conversations about it. Sometimes I change my mind, sometimes I don't. Here's Bruce, and he's talking about, hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to canadapoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for shop and donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.